If you're following the news, you know the situation in the Middle East has escalated dramatically since late February 2026. What started as targeted strikes has turned into a prolonged confrontation between Iran, the United States, and Israel. Iran has tried to turn this into a classic war of attrition, basically wearing down their opponents over time using low-cost drones and missiles to drain expensive defenses, spike oil prices, and test political willpower. But recent developments suggest this approach is not going as planned for Tehran. Let's break it down step by step with the latest facts from reliable reports. No speculation, just what's happening on the ground. First, a quick recap of Iran's playbook. Iran has launched hundreds of drones and missiles, often in high volumes but relying on cheaper systems to overwhelm air defenses. The idea? Make the US, Israel, and Gulf allies burn through costly interceptors faster than Iran can be hit back. Experts have called this a deliberate strategy to turn the fight into an endurance test. However, the reality on the battlefield tells a different story. US and Israeli strikes have heavily targeted Iran's missile launchers, production facilities, and storage sites. As a result, Iran's missile and drone launches have dropped sharply. Reports indicate an 86% reduction from the opening days, with ongoing declines noted as recently as early March. This means the race to run out first is tilting against Iran, as their ability to sustain high-volume attacks weakens while Allied defenses hold up. One expert from a think tank described it as a question of who runs out of missiles first, the defenders or the attackers. Right now, the combined US-Israeli campaign is degrading Iran's launch capabilities faster than expected, limiting their staying power in this prolonged fight. Second big issue, Iran's decision to expand attacks beyond Israel and US bases to hit civilian and economic targets in Gulf countries like the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and others. This includes strikes on airports, oil facilities, refineries, and even luxury areas. The goal was to spread the pain, disrupt global energy markets, and pressure those nations to push for a quicker end to the conflict. Oil prices surged. Shipping through key routes like the Strait of Hormuz plummeted by around 90% in some reports, and major companies paused operations. But this has seriously backfired regionally. Gulf states, which were trying to stay neutral or pursue diplomacy, now see Iran as a direct threat to their security and economies. Analysts note that these attacks have driven those countries closer to the US orbit. Some are even considering more active support for operations against Iran to protect their own infrastructure. One high-level comment highlighted that by targeting allies who wanted to stay out, Iran has actually pulled them in deeper. Instead of isolating the US and Israel, Tehran has unintentionally broadened the coalition against itself. Third point, political and economic missteps. Iran hoped to exploit anti-war feelings or draw out the conflict to exhaust resolve in Washington and elsewhere. But domestic pressures in Iran, from recent internal unrest to heavy military losses, are mounting. Meanwhile, the US side has shown willingness to sustain a longer operation if needed, with officials preparing for months rather than days. The economic pain from disrupted energy flows hurts everyone, but it risks accelerating Iran's own isolation and internal strain more than it forces concessions from opponents. To sum it up, while attrition warfare plays to Iran's asymmetries in cost, the strategy is showing cracks. Graded launch capabilities, alienated regional neighbors turning towards stronger US alignment, and the risk of overextension mean this could accelerate pressure on the regime rather than secure survival or leverage. This conflict is fluid, with high costs on all sides, civilian impacts, economic ripples, and no easy off-ramp in sight. It's a reminder of how quickly escalations can shift dynamics in unexpected ways. Stay informed, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.